Thank you. Good evening. In October 1961, the 22nd Congress of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union solemnly proclaimed that the present generation of Soviet people will live under communism. Nikita Khrushchev, the party leader, clarified that the arrival of communism is expected by 1980. I was a little boy at that time, but I remembered this promise. In 1980, I was already grown-up person, and the main joke of the year was that the party decided to replace communism with the Olympic Games. The Summer Olympics happened in Moscow that year, boycotted by 66 countries because of the Soviet invasion in Afghanistan. The streets of the capital were empty, but the shops were full of foreign food and goods. That was a distinct feeling of carnival. 6 years later, Chernobyl exploded, and after another 5 years, the Soviet Union collapsed. This is how I lived through the hopes and the failures of the first communist utopia. During the years of perestroika, hopes arose that as soon as the communist utopia collapses, the market economy will instantly bring the consumer's paradise in our country. Other hopes were placed on democracy and freedom to provide a stable and secure state. In the 90s, this market utopia didn't totally collapse, but led to the impoverishment of the population, the creation of an oligarchic state, heavy social inequality, and mass migration. Besides cruel war in Chechnya, the growing terrorist threat and criminal clashes in Russian cities made people disillusioned with democracy. People were waiting for the strong hand to restore the order. This is how the case of the colonel appeared on the political horizon. The capitalist utopia wasn't abandoned, but provisionally democracy was reduced to the managed democracy, federalism and self-government to the vertical of power. During the first decade of the 21st century, the war in Chechnya was ended, economy was stabilized, and growth began. The incomes dramatically increased. Some of the oligarchs were put in prison or pushed to immigration. The order was restored. People felt themselves more secure, wealthy, and comparatively happy. Mm. In a way, it was a fulfillment of the promised consumer's paradise. The public interest in politics plummeted. It was a kind of agreement with the state: don't interfere with politics, and we won't touch you. In February 2014, I was in Moscow watching on TV the opening show of the Winter Olympics in Sochi. In a grandiose performance showing scenes of great events from the history of Russia, there were episodes of the October Revolution and Soviet constructivism. A festive atmosphere reigned. It seemed that the consolidation of society, pluralism, and democracy, despite the obstacles, were returning hope for a peaceful and happy future. The next month, polite little green man appeared in the Crimea, and the peninsula was annexed by the Russian Federation. The hybrid war was unleashed in the regions of eastern Ukraine. In 2017, the centenary anniversary of the revolution was officially ignored by Russian authorities. It's nothing to commemorate, as the president's press secretary announced. The Crimean Spring, as the official propaganda called the events of annexation, caused patriotic euphoria and a steep rise in support for Putin, who turned into a typical autocrat on the way to a lifelong dictatorship. From that time, the new utopia started to reign the state and the country, this time the conservative and imperial one. The future now belongs to the past. Russia has its own way, its own truth, no friends, only fellow travelers. Recently, it seems that the magic of this pessimist dream is starting to dissipate as the new post Soviet generation is coming to active life. The last period of the Russian history shows the astonishing reverse evolution of utopian cycles. A failed project of a communist utopia is replaced by a dubiously successful project of a capitalist utopia, which in turn develops into a concept of a conservative utopia. The latter, it seems to me, has negligible chances of implementation. However, not only the utopian projects themselves, but also their collapses, and dystopias make history move forward. Thank you. It was my statement, personal rather.